Hi friends, I hope you have a wonderful day, and this time I'm gonna be reacting to what happened to Michael Schumacher. So I remember him kinda, and yeah, and I wasn't checking anything out, and I just knew that he is out. So yeah, let's check it.
Formula One racing driver Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher.
One of the greatest drivers of all time.
Greatest driver in Formula One history.
In critical condition.
The Formula One legend, Michael Schumacher's
catastrophic skiing injury.
They're reporting.
Yeah, right. There was a tragedy. Oh my god. Seriously, I forgot.
On that tragic ski accident to the town of Albertville in the French Alps.
And we can say that he is fighting for his life.
Millions of fans, hundreds of magical moments, the second most race wins in F1 history, the most title wins ever in the sport. Michael Schumacher. This man was the epitome of a rags to riches fairy tale. From the first time he sat behind the wheel of that 1991 Jordan to his last win in China in 2006, Michael never stopped fighting, never stopped winning. He took Benetton to the top, he put Ferrari on his back, he conquered the world. This was a man who had outraced his limits. He had won all there was to win before retiring, and yet he could not quite stay away from the track for long. He made his return in 2010 with the Mercedes F1 team for a short and somewhat sweet farewell before finally hanging up his gloves in 2012. All those who had followed him throughout his career were glad to have been a part of his story. Arguably the greatest racer of all time, Schumi was a blur on the track. He had blink and you'll miss him kind of speed. From the town of Herd to the top step of Interlagos, the man called Regenkund.
I'm sometimes amazed about the trophies. They look so... Some of them look really nice, but some of them is just like a plate. That's kind of weird for me, I don't know, but... I don't know who thinks of them, but... Good luck. They need to make a lot of them.
Koenig had won battle after battle, weathered every storm, beaten every challenger. But then, just a year after his retirement, he would be thrown into perhaps his toughest ordeal yet.
And it might this time even be forever.
December 29th, 2013. On a bright and beautiful morning in Maribel, Father Michael and son Mick were heading down the popular Combe de Solier route down the snowy French Alps. Michael was well known for his skills on the racetrack, but he was also pretty good on the slopes. He had always been assured and reliable on the snow, and yet, that day, he decided to go off the beaten path. He did not know that an unseen danger lurked beneath the thick layer of fresh snow. 11 a.m. Michael Schumacher, upon noticing the daughter of one of his friends in trouble, left his designated ski trail to help her. 11:02 a.m. Schumacher skied about 20 meters into deep snow, where he encountered exposed rocks in the area. 11:03 a.m. While navigating the challenging terrain, Michael Schumacher struck a partially covered rock, leading him to lose control and catapult 10 meters head first into a boulder. The impact caused Schumacher to be thrown into the air, with the right side of his head landing on another covered rock. Michael had been wearing a helmet, but that wasn't enough, as the helmet shattered upon impact. The German's head was bleeding profusely. The situation was gut-wrenching. 11:07 a.m. Assistance arrived in the form of 2 ski patrollers, 4 minutes
That's actually fast, I think.
after the accident, during which Schumacher remained conscious but showed increasing incoherence in his words and actions.
He was overwhelmed, agitated. He was not responding to questions. He showed spontaneous movements of his 4 limbs, but he was not in a normal state.
11:15 a.m. A helicopter rescue team arrived at the scene and quickly embolished Schumacher. A crucial 12 minutes had now passed since the horrendous accident. 11:53 a.m. The airlift arrived at the Moutier hospital, but seeing as the situation was more severe than initially thought, the German was transferred to a specialist trauma unit in Grenoble. 12:30 p.m. Upon arrival at Grenoble Hospital, doctors revealed that Schumacher was in a coma and required urgent surgery.
Mr. Schumacher was taken to the hospital centre in Grenoble yesterday. When he arrived, he had a head trauma, a serious head trauma, with a coma.
The situation was deemed extremely serious, leading medical professionals to maintain an artificial coma.
It's an induced coma.
Oh.
He's been placed.
This was what I was thinking, if it was like induced coma or what.
In that coma since his accident in order to try and protect his brain and to aid the recovery.
However, providing an accurate prognosis at that early stage was challenging. During a press conference in Grenoble, Jean-François Payen, the head of anesthetics at the clinic, said that the injuries sustained by Schumacher included internal bleeding and significant bruising on the brain. The medical team focused on halting swelling, supplying oxygen to the brain, and maintaining the body temperature at the recommended level of 34 to 35 degrees Celsius. Payen had noted that the impact had occurred on the right side of Schumacher's head, and that had Michael not been wearing a helmet, the outcome of the crash would likely have been fatal for the former world champion.
His helmet did partially protect him, of course. Somebody who wasn't wearing a helmet would have certainly died.
The hospital was under tight security, allowing only trusted visitors like Schumacher's wife Corinna, daughter Gina Maria, and son Mick, as well as close family friend Jean Todt, to visit. Professor Gérard Salin, a brain and spine injury expert and a close friend of Schumacher, performed a second surgery on a hematoma on the left side of his brain. Many feared for his life. Gina Maria and Mick wondered if they'd ever hear their father's voice again.
Stop. I don't know, when there is something about children and kind of maybe losing a parent is straight away striking me. Maybe one of the reasons is that I lost my father quite fast. I was just 7 years old, so yeah. It's not about me, but yeah, it's...
Michael was a fighter. We had seen it on track. We had seen it throughout his life. This would not put him down. Against all odds, Schumi survived both surgeries, but remained in critical condition for several weeks, leaving his family and friends anxiously waiting for signs of recovery. Slowly and carefully, he had emerged from a deep coma induced by doctors. A medically induced coma becomes necessary when there's a risk of life-threatening brain swelling, which can compromise blood supply and cause further damage.
It's very common in patients who have severe head injuries to be put into a pharmacological or medically induced coma. Once a patient has sustained a severe head injury, their brain is very vulnerable to further damage. And sometimes that damage is because of progressive swelling of the brain, sometimes from other causes.
Once Schumacher's brain swelling had reached its peak, the induced coma treatment was gradually withdrawn. However, even after the induced coma ended, he remained in a natural coma. Whilst there had been a real lack of news surrounding the German champion's recovery, a sudden news break arrived out of nowhere, and it gave us all that glimmer of hope we were begging for. Michael Schumacher had emerged from the coma. Soon after, a journey of rehabilitation commenced at Lausanne University Hospital, where he devoted himself to healing and regaining strength.
Finally out of hospital, the news that Michael Schumacher is now continuing his rehabilitation at home is certainly good for his family.
When the news of his accident broke to the generic public, there was a global outpouring of grief and support. Understandably, the public wanted more detail. He was our hero. He was someone most of us had grown up idolizing, seeing him win race after race, championship after championship. He was our childhood. But Michael was also human, and his wife Corinna stood firm on ensuring his and their family's privacy. Corinna and Schumacher's manager, Sabine Kem, had seen a lot of attempts by individuals that had been trying to find out what state Michael was in.
I've been told by the security that a guy, a man, somebody who they said were a journalist, turned out to be a journalist, pretended to be a priest and pretended he needed to go to Michael. They saw him.
Seriously? How low can you go to pretend to be a priest? Literally anyone else. Please, he's not a priest. What the F, dude? How can you go? Seriously.
They understood that it was apparently not a real proper priest, but a journalist, and they took him out.
Despite the challenges, the family remained resilient, standing united against attempts to unveil the details of Michael's condition. And that meant that some people saw an opportunity to make money. In June, 6 months after the fateful crash, an executive from the helicopter air rescue company involved in Schumacher's transfer faced accusations of attempting to pilfer his medical records. This unscrupulous individual allegedly claimed to peddle the sensitive information to various European media outlets, attaching a hefty price tag of $54,700 to the stolen files. French prosecutors traced the IP address responsible for the theft back to Rega, Switzerland's primary air ambulance operator. Prosecutors from France and Switzerland were able to trace the alleged theft back to the air rescue executive, who was quickly caught and imprisoned in Zurich. But the next morning, hours before his scheduled court appearance, officers discovered the man's lifeless body hanging in his cell. Authorities did not provide the man's name, age, or nationality, and there were no signs that he was mentally disturbed or suicidal. Kem, resolute in protecting Schumacher's privacy, warned of legal consequences if the stolen medical files saw the light of day. The threat ensured that the notes, clearly pilfered, never became public knowledge. A year later, the Schumacher family would narrowly avoid another potential breach of their privacy. An unidentified friend with access to Schumacher's home managed to capture an image, intending to peddle it to European media for an exorbitant $1.1 million. Swift intervention by German prosecutors, however, halted the sale, deeming it a violation of Schumacher's realm and a severe infringement of privacy. Thus,
this is the sad part, you know, you are famous and now he's just trying to live his own life and I don't know, be in peace. But you can't because you are someone. You are a big personality and everyone wants to know something about you, and it's kind of sad that they are barging into your life and just disturbing and the paparazzis, I don't know how they can live. It's a different level of shittiness. Okay, no, I just can't stand that.
No images of Schumacher after the accident have surfaced. To this day, we do not know what state Michael is in, but that never stopped people from peddling misinformation. Immediately, questions were raised about how Die Aktuelle was able to get the long reclusive Schumacher to talk on the record, considering the severity of his injuries. How was a man incapable of speech suddenly giving interviews? And to Die Aktuelle of all outlets, the story, which lacked a byline, reported Schumacher as saying that his life had completely changed since the accident. However, the interview, published in April, concluded with a confession that the quotes were actually fabricated and that the magazine had not talked with Schumacher or any of his family members. Die Aktuelle faced rapid and severe consequences. The then editor, Anne Hoffmann, was immediately fired. One German media expert described the hoax as too stupid to be true, and yet it was. The bogus interview sparked such outrage that the Schumacher family planned to sue the publishers, but eventually backed out, presumably to avoid media attention. And who can blame them? There were even whispers back in 2018 suggesting that Michael's wife, Corinna, had orchestrated a secret move to a mansion in Mallorca. This narrative gained momentum in 2020 when Elisabetta Gregoracci, ex-wife of Flavio Briatore, Schumacher's former boss at Benetton, said on Italy's Big Brother about how Michael was communicating, but only non-verbally. Schumacher's family, manager and reliable sources vehemently denied them. The strict privacy controls enforced by Corinna and his inner circle have kept the details of his health well guarded. Friends and former colleagues seeking to visit have been
Yeah, I understand that everybody is kind of concerned if he is okay. But like, that you're trying so hard, and you can feel it that they want to just live their own lives. Just enjoying their moments, you know. I understand that there are fans that want to know at least that they could go in peace, kind of. But it's so. No, I can't understand that.
Turned away. Rubens Barrichello, Schumacher's former Ferrari teammate, had his request denied, with advice that it wouldn't benefit either party. Even Willy Webber, Schumacher's former manager, claimed to have tried dozens of times to visit, but was consistently denied. He accused Carina of preventing contact and accused the family of withholding the whole truth. Jean Todt, a boss, friend, and family confidant, remains one of the people closest to Schumacher, and it is from him that we know the very little we do. The biggest reveal that Todt ever made came in 2019, as he hinted at the limited capacity for communication that Michael had.
Of course, our friendship cannot be the same as it once was, just because there's no longer the same communication as before. I see Michael very often, once or twice a month. His life is different now, and I have the privilege of sharing moments with him. That's all there is to say. He is no longer the Michael we knew in Formula One.
Since the initial...
That's sad. That's really sad. But at least he have a great friend.
Surgeries following the accident, there has been minimal information about the procedures Schumacher may have undergone to improve his condition. In 2019, reports surfaced about stem cell treatment at the Georges Pompidou European Hospital in Paris, conducted by cardiothoracic surgeon Philippe Menage, but it was confirmed that Schumacher was conscious after the procedure. The 2021 Netflix documentary, Schumacher, offered a rare glimpse in...
Haven't seen that. I need to check it out. if it's available in here.
Into Carina's thoughts and feelings.
I miss Michael every day. But it's not just me who misses him. It's the children, the family, his father, everyone around him. Everybody misses Michael, but Michael is here. Different, but here. He still shows me how strong he is every day. I've never blamed God for what happened. It was just really bad luck. All the bad luck anyone can have in life.
The absence of Michael, however, did not mean that the Schumacher name did not...
But at the same... It's like a bad luck, but at the same time, he was kind of lucky to survive. Oh my god. But yeah, the children... Oh... It's really hard for them. I can imagine. It's sad.
Takes center stage in the world of Formula One racing. Mick was still around, and he had always planned on taking up the Schumacher mantle. After the accident, Mick became the most visible member of the family, choosing to follow in his dad's footsteps and become a race car driver. The new generation Schumacher did really well in Formula 3 and Formula 2, and then he got his chance to drive for the Haas team in Formula 1 for 2 years. But things got tough for Haas, and they let him go after the 2022 season. Even though he wasn't racing, the Mercedes F1 team, which his dad helped start, kept him as a reserve driver. Now he's even getting ready to race for the Alpine team in the 2024 FIA World Endurance Championship. Mick hasn't just raced though, he has also honoured his dad in special events. He drove his dad's old cars in shows and even wore his dad's racing gear. People say that Mick is a lot like his dad, even though he wants to keep his dad's private life private. Mick has shared some sweet stories about their relationship.
I always want to compare myself to the best, and my father is the best. He's also my idol. I'm pleased if I can compare myself to him.
In the documentary, Mick talked about how he wished he could talk to his dad about his racing career.
Since the accident, of course, these experiences, these moments that I believe many people have with their parents are no longer present, or to a lesser extent. And in my view, that is a little unfair. I think me and Dad, we would understand each other in a different way now. And that is where my head is most of the time. Thinking that would be so cool, I would give up everything just for that.
It is heartbreaking for his family, and inevitably the mind asks the question, will we ever catch a glimpse of Michael Schumacher in public again? Looking back at the first 10 years after the accident, it seems very unlikely. Those wishing for news about the racing legend's health or a clear update are likely to end up disappointed. In November, the family's lawyer, Felix Dahm, explained why they've been tight-lipped about Schumacher's health. They thought about giving a final update on Michael's health, but Dahm pointed out that there wouldn't have ever been an end to it. They'd have to keep giving regular updates, and the media would keep asking for more and more, as they always do. Dahm admitted that the lack of information leaves Schumacher's dedicated fans without answers, but he argued that the true supporters would understand the family's need for privacy. I most certainly am in agreement with that. There's a bit of hope from Todd, though, one of the few besides the family to regularly see Schumacher.
I hope the world will be able to see him again. That is what he and his family are working towards.
There is hope yet, and we would be wrong to lose it. Michael's career was full of moments that showed the depth of his humanity. He puts hard work, community, excellence, friends, and family over everything else in his life. When he won, he wanted everyone else around him to win too. That is just who Michael Schumacher was. And what better example of the magnificence and humility of the man than the 2002 Indianapolis Grand Prix?
I really, really hope that Michael is as happy as he can be, and he is fine. Yeah, I'm sad about children today. Yeah. It's probably really, really hard to see how your loved father is just basically changed at one moment. And yeah. I didn't expect that I will cry. But yeah, I really, really hope that he is fine and he is happy. And yeah, that's great that he is still with his family and he have great friends. Few, but how many do you need? So yeah, I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please consider to leave a like and subscribe, and yeah, take care. Wear helmet. If you are doing something crazy, wear helmet. So yeah, take care. Bye.